5 weeks, $408,000 won, and $134,000 apiece. Mongraal, Mitro, and Benjy have established himself as the best of the best time and time again, placing second, first, and first in the first couple of weeks of the Fortnite Champions Series. There's not a more consistent trio currently in any region that can even match close to them. And that's why there's so much knowledge to gain from them and their playstyle. No matter how many points they have on a certain day, they continue to slay out for the entirety of that tournament. So today we're going to be looking at how they play so successfully and how you can take bits and pieces from their playstyle and implement it into your own game. I do just want to quickly ask you guys, if you do enjoy these videos or my content, to leave a like and subscribe, as it helps me create more content for you guys. If you want to support me even further, you can always use code SALAGE in the item shop. Other than that, let's hop right into the video. When you're playing week in and week out against the best players in the region, it's not expected that you're going to be playing as consistently as they have, no matter how good you are. But I want to show you how consistent they actually are. This spreadsheet here was created by Ronnie Now, and it's pretty neat to me, and I wanted to share it with you guys as well, because they've made nearly $100,000 more than anyone behind them. As well, in the Fortnite Champions Series, they have 2,400 points, with second place only having 1,650, and the top team in NA East only has 1,875. It's clear that Mongraal, Benjy, and Mitro stand out far ahead of anyone else playing the game currently. If you want to see good comms, great teamwork, and overall just a well-oiled machine, then you need to watch their late games. They get so many of their kills by holding height and just beaming kids out of the air. For a majority of the games, Benjy is tarping them in, while Mitro and Mongraal just laser kids out of the sky. And even in a hectic late game, they're still calling out kids that they can beam. For example, they'll say something like front player, or calling out a specific glider if possible, to make sure that they're all focusing the same player. They all have incredible building and editing skill, but their aim is out of this world as well. For example, Mongraal will carry an infantry rifle nearly every game, and he'll hit like 3 or 4 shots in a row and just beam kids out of the air like nothing. But going back to the fact that Benjy tarps them in, because they always comment when they need to be moving into zone more, and then Benjy will quickly build them in, and then he'll go back to shooting himself. But this allows Mongraal and Mitro to focus on picking up kills rather than building themselves in as well. This will save the whole trio some mats as they're all in the same tarp, but as well, it just allows them to keep putting out that constant pressure. And that's exactly what they do so well. By using their Devil RPGs or RPG Heavy Sniper, it allows them to hold height and stop players from being able to even attempt to take height. And overall, it just causes a lot of havoc on people below them, which opens up the builds to allow them to take AR shots and pick up even more limbs on players below them. All of these add up to let them be really dominant during late game, but they also time when they take height and when they have to leave to rotate very far. They do it all at the perfect timing, and they really just hold height really well, and that's what drives them to get all of their eliminations in the late game and to place really well. I think it's safe to say that they are by far some of the most mechanically skilled players within the game. And while mechanical skill does not lead directly to placing well in tournaments, it sure does make it much easier. All of them are insane in terms of building, editing, and aiming, and it shows true whenever they get into fights. During mid game, they always take fights when they can get the jump on players and start the fight off in their favor. That's why they're always so successful at winning their mid game fights, because they don't just W key every single team they run into, only when it's in their favor and they know for sure they have the upper hand. They're obviously not blindly running at kids in Storm or doing anything that would grief their own game, and that way they can still secure the insane amount of elimination points that they do get in their matches. But like I said, their mechanics are able to help them win nearly every fight. The speed at which they edit, build, and shoot is incredibly fast, to the point where they can put shots in without even getting hit back. And by far my favorite thing that I have learned from the three is their use of ramps. They use them for both aggressive and defensive plays. And a lot of players have started to use ramps more and more in situations, but I think that they are still ahead of the curve. I first want to take a look at the defensive uses from Benjy. He constantly, while tunneling and such, is placing them down in between his tunnels at a super fast pace. This of course blocks him from players running through his tunnel behind him, but it also allows him to keep his full forward momentum It does not require him to stop and turn around to reset and edit or play some other build. A little more common use of ramp is when you're protecting yourself while disengaging. This is something that a lot of pros and other players are doing now, but I still like it over turning around and losing that momentum that you may have, and it lets you just kind of keep on moving. Looking at the aggressive side of them using ramps, they of course place them in everybody's box, and that is basically the meta right now. But it's the absolute speed and precision that they can place, edit, and shoot, and then of course reset is absolutely insane. Most of the time they are so fast that other players can't even shoot back and hit them. A lot of that just comes down to their pure mechanical skill that just sets them a bar ahead of everybody else. The reason they play so high on the leaderboards consistently is the fact that they slay out in so many of their games. I've already talked about how they capitalize on late game, and they do play a lot more aggressively in the rest of the game, but one of the things that I really like that they do is the fact that they use their utility whenever they have to. That means shockwaves, launch pads, and such, even way before endgame. And that's something I see a lot of players being more stingy with, as they want to have some sort of rotation for the late game. But since they play so aggressive, they end up being able to pick up more shockwaves or extra jump pads some players they end up eliminating. As well, they also end up getting more power weapons such as RPGs, heavy snipers, since they're constantly W keying and picking up tons of eliminations. Which having those OP weapons of course makes it much easier to knock out height and retake it, or to RPG heavy snipe and get an easy 120 damage to start a fight. If you can get any sort of advantage to start a fight, or to pick up some easy damage on those below you, why wouldn't you? Even though their trio comms are the most hilarious thing I've ever heard, from Mongraal screeching like a bird, and them yelling dead every time they get a knock.
Not dead! Dead! Dead!
They are good comms, and they communicate everything they need to know as they have their own little roles. Like I mentioned before, Benjy always tarps, so whenever zone starts to get close, they'll call out Benjy to tarp in, and he responds back by saying that he is tarping to make sure that they know he heard them and that he is building them in. These are of course tiny things that may not make a big difference, but their comms are clear and easy to follow. And when you only have a couple of seconds to react and make a play, these comms are necessary. Mongraal, Mitro, and Benjy are incredible players in every aspect, and I enjoy watching their highlights of the tournaments. Benjy pretty much uploads every single one, and they're about 40 minutes long, but they pack all the fights, late games, and all that into one video. Mongraal as well uploads some of them, but sadly not all, and unfortunately Mitro really only uploads highlights. But it's from all of his cash cups and everything, so you get to see a lot of his big play games. I'll have them all linked down in the description, as I highly recommend watching some of the big videos, as it's really fun to just watch them roll through every single team and game that they play. Now I only went over some of the many things that you can pick up from watching them play, so hopefully you saw something new or neat today, and if you want some more, watching any of their videos or streams is a great way to pick up some new tricks. I always talk about watching pro players or VOD reviewing yourself, because it's one of the best ways to improve. You can easily learn new things from pro players that you may have not have thought of, or if VOD reviewing yourself, you can always pick apart your flaws and figure out where you may be messing up your game. And if you're not too sure on how to fix certain aspects of your game, the best way to see it done right is by players who do it for a living. Plenty of them upload videos onto YouTube or stream the entire tournament. Either or, you get to see their footage and how they handle situations correctly. Personally, the ones that I watch the most would have to be Mongraal, Benjy, Bugha, 72 Hours, and Tfue. They are just some of my favorites to watch in my opinion, and they place really well consistently, and overall are just great players. The last person I want to mention is BallaTW. He hosted a bunch during the World Cup, and his YouTube channel and Twitch is full of him VOD reviewing other players. He's super smart and knows what he's talking about, so if you don't know where to start, his channel is a great spot. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed all of it, and if you did, don't forget to follow me over on Twitch as I stream over there. As well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I post clips of my gameplay and sneak some teasers of my upcoming maps as well. All three will be linked down in the description as well. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more future tips, tricks, and tutorials. If you want some more right away, check out the playlist and videos on screen for some great ways to elevate your game. Other than that, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.